Since I was a child, I have lived in a loveless family. My father's dislike, my mother's distance, my grandmother's abuse, and their deep-rooted concept of favoring boys over girls have made me a tool for this family to make money. The economic pillar of my brother Su Anshin, and a bargaining chip for getting a wedding gift. But I have never become my parents' daughter or my brother's sister. My name is Su Anning. I was born in a fishing village by the sea. My father is a fishmonger at the dock and my mother is a female worker in a manufacturing factory. From the moment I was born, I, a daughter, was inferior to my twin brother Su Anshin. Although the family conditions are not bad, my parents never spend a penny more on me. A married girl is like spilled water. From now on, everything in the family belongs to your brother, and you have to help your brother in the future. This is a sentence my parents often told me. It brainwashed me for 30 years in the last life. For Su Anshin, I got excellent grades. I gave up the college entrance examination and was arranged by my parents to work in a weaving factory as a female worker. For Su Anshin, I was in love for the first time, so my parents married me to a scumbag in the village. For Su Anshin, I worked hard day and night, and finally I was hospitalized due to overwork. But my parents refused to pay even a penny for the treatment. Instead, they discussed with my scumbag husband how to handle my funeral and then collect a sum of money for the funeral. My brother Su Anshin watched coldly from beginning to end, enjoying the value I created for him. Losing the hope of living, I finally chose to commit suicide. Since I couldn't control my own destiny, I could only decide my own life and death. But suddenly, a muffled voice came into my ears. The baby is due in 2 months. Sufin, don't do any heavy work anymore. Just focus on taking care of the baby. It was pitch black all around, and I could feel that I was in a soft container surrounded by a large amount of liquid. This is a woman's womb, the place where life is nurtured. I was reborn, and I traveled back to my mother's belly and became an 8-month-old fetus. I will never forget that hateful voice just now. It was my grandmother in her previous life. She has abused me in various ways since I was a child, and she also targeted my mother and scolded both of us as money-losing goods, just because I am a girl and my mother gave birth to a girl like me. You, a broken crotch, also gave birth to a money-losing goods. Did my Su family's money come from the wind? Why did my son marry a useless person like you? This is what my grandmother often said to my mother. Not only did my mother not resist at all, but later she moved this set of words to me. I feel sorry for her. She is both a victim and a perpetrator. She has been struggling with the identity of a woman all her life. After living a new life, I finally recognized the facts. In this life, I will no longer let myself be at their mercy. I want to live my life well again. I want to let Su Anshin know that in this world, women are not the appendages of a family. I want to change his thinking from an early age, so that he can finally stand firmly on my side and help me fight against our parents. In the darkness, I feel another life curled up with me, my fellow brother. I began to roll over hard, and finally let my arm touch his umbilical cord, soaked in the amniotic fluid of the uterus. I cannot be an object, and my body is almost soft and uncontrollable, so it took me about a few days to wrap Su Anshin's umbilical cord around his neck. I only wrapped it twice because I was afraid that if I wrapped it 3 times he would be strangled to death. In that case, I might be regarded as a Death Star by my stupid parents and grandmother and thrown into the sea. At the same time, I also used constant rolling to change the position between him and me. In this life, I don't want to be a submissive sister. I want to be a person with my own ideas. Sister, with the mother screams in the delivery room, Su Anshin and I were born. This time I became a sister as I wished, and Su Anshin became my brother. When the nurse grabbed me, I coughed out the amniotic fluid remaining in my lungs and cried loudly. In my previous life, I was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, so I was weak since childhood. I tossed and turned in the delivery room for a long time before I cried. This was because Su Anshin's physical fitness was obviously much worse because of the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck. The doctor and the nurse played doubles for a long time before I vaguely heard her not-so-loud cry. I was wrapped in a swaddling cloth and was taken away by someone. Humph, what a money loser. My grandmother's voice seemed to be stuffed into a stuffy jar and vaguely transmitted to my ears. Then I felt myself being casually placed on a hard plane. I guess it should be the wooden bench outside the waiting room. I guess this vicious old lady must be holding Su Anshin with my unscrupulous father at this time. I was so happy that I couldn't stop smiling, but I was too weak now and could hardly hear any sound. When I was 3 years old, I had already started to do some work at home within my ability, just like in my previous life. In my previous life, my umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck, and the old lady kept saying why she didn't strangle him to death. In this life, the old lady's words became a Death Star. Without him, how could my eldest grandson be in such poor health? Yes, Su Anshin's health has always been poor. He catches a cold when he is exposed to cold wind, has diarrhea when he drinks cold water, drops his chin when he yawns, and gets a stitch in the side when he coughs, just like a fragile porcelain doll. So, the old thing blamed all this on me, and as a result, the Death Star status in the family became even lower. However, I would always take advantage of the time when no one was at home or the adults couldn't see, to beat Su Anshin up. This has been a daily activity that I have been doing since I was 6 months old and could roll over. At first, my family thought I was too young. I tried my best to protect him outside. Suanshin was weak and sick since he was a child. Since kindergarten, he was often bullied by other children. Whenever I heard him crying, I would rush to his class like crazy and beat him like a madman. Like a dog, I beat the students who bullied him until they cried loudly. Even the teacher couldn't stop me. Over time, I became a crazy woman who was feared in the school. Everyone knew that Suanshin had a crazy sister who defended her without any principles. Suanshin must have been very conflicted. On the one hand, she was afraid of me. On the other hand, she would think of me the first time she was bullied and longed for my protection. My parents were also very happy. My almost crazy behavior of protecting my brother did not end until the 5th grade. In the second semester of the 5th grade of elementary school, Suanshin was blocked in the carport by several boys in the same class. Several boys stripped her clothes and beat her up. The reason for beating her was simple because she was the first student in the class to have a Walkman. When I went to the carport to get my bicycle, I witnessed the scene, and I rushed up like crazy. I had a fierce reputation, and several boys were scared when they saw me. One of them ran away. The boy was slow, and I kicked him in the waist, breaking his ribs. That night, the parents of the injured boy came to our house to ask for an explanation. My father apologized repeatedly and paid the medical expenses. Then he picked up the carrying pole for carrying water and beat me hard with it in front of the boy's parents until I spit out blood. Only then did he get scared and stop his actions. I stared at him from beginning to end, neither crying nor hiding. Finally, it was Suanshin who cried and told me what happened in front of me, and he threw away the carrying pole in hatred. He only knew how to cause trouble for the family all day long. Do you know how long it takes to earn that money? The unlucky star should have thrown you into the sea and drowned you. Even though he knew that I was doing it to protect Suanshin, he still felt resentful about the medical expenses and blamed all the faults on me. That night, I was punished not to eat dinner and went to the yard to feed the cows. Suanshin ran over and secretly stuffed. He gave me 2 pieces of jujube cake. It was the first time in my life that I had eaten jujube cake. This ordinary snack was a treat only for the son in this family. I wolfed down the 2 pieces of jujube cake, then reached out and slapped him hard in the face. Do you know why I hit you? He lowered his head and didn't dare to look at me. He knew it was because I didn't stand up and say that I was being bullied. Go away. During the 3 years of junior high school, my grades were always among the best. Although Suanshin was not as good as me, she had always maintained above average grades. In the 2nd year of junior high school, something happened at home that made me happy. My grandmother passed away, and there were finally fewer people torturing me in this family. Suanshin cried her heart out at the funeral, and from beginning to end, I just watched everything around me with an expressionless face. Sister, I will never see my grandmother again. Suanshin cried and sat beside me seeking comfort. She actually mistakenly thought that I would empathize with her. I was cold. She coldly said, "It's none of my business." She looked up in astonishment, met my hateful eyes, and lowered her head with a gloomy expression. Maybe she recalled how the old lady who looked kind to him used the most vicious and unbearable words in the world to curse me. A jinx. In the 3rd grade class examination, I successfully entered the key class with the 1st place in the grade. In the office, the head teacher was sitting on the chair and looking at my test paper. He nodded with satisfaction. When I looked up again, our eyes met. I could see the undisguised regret in his eyes. It was a pity that he took another look at the test paper in his hand. Suanning, it would be nice if you were a boy. At that moment, the blood in my body seemed to freeze. A teacher, a gardener who waters the flowers of the future, was actually controlled by this stubborn and narrow-minded thinking like my parents. Looking at his face, I seemed to see my father and my mother. As if I saw the deceased, I was so embarrassed that I couldn't hear what the teacher said next. I just kept telling myself that I must go out and never come back. During self-study that day, I was doing homework when I suddenly felt a heat in my lower body. I realized that it was my first menstruation. My pants were already stained with blood. I tied my shirt around my waist and asked for leave from the teacher. I went home to change my pants and opened the door. My mother was working in the yard. "Why are you back?" The next second she saw the blood on my pants, came over and slapped me hard. "You shameless thing. Do you still have any shame?" I saw him cursing and pointing at my pants and talking to me endlessly. I simply ignored him, went into the house to change my pants, soaked my school uniform in water, and began to rub the red color. Prodigal son, a set of school uniforms costs more than 200 yuan. How come you don't have any common sense at all? I found it funny. It turned out that, in his cognition, this kind of physiological common sense should be something he could learn by himself. I stopped washing clothes, looked up at him and said, "Give me money so I can buy sanitary napkins. You also have a pack of more than 10 yuan, which is enough for a meal." He used sanitary napkins himself and was not afraid of spending money, but he wanted to save money on me. I simply bypassed him and went directly to the cabinet to look for his sanitary napkins. He didn't dare to stop him because I learned to resist after entering junior high school. He couldn't get any advantage, so he could only stand in the yard and curse at me, but the bloodstains still left a mark. I had no choice but to go to school the next day wearing a pair of school uniform pants stained with blood, because they refused to buy me a new pair of school uniform pants, even though the family was not short of money. The next day, when I walked into the school gate wearing the pants that really couldn't wash out the bloodstains, I heard laughter from behind me. "Oh, you young man. How did the top student in the class become a monster?" There was a burst of laughter all around. I quickened my pace, trying to get away from these people as soon as possible, but I heard the sound of fighting behind me. Su Wanxin rushed over and punched the boy who laughed at me in the face. The boy was tall and strong, and Su Wanxin was thin and weak. He was no match for him at all. The other party pressed him to the ground and punched him in the face. I pounced on him and kicked the boy in the neck, kicking him off Su Wanxin's body. I strangled the boy's neck desperately and vented all the anger that had been buried for some time on him. His eyes reflected the light of fear, and he even forgot to resist. Su Wanxin hugged me from behind and dragged me back hard, saying, "Sister, if you let go, you will strangle him to death." Su Wanxin pulled me away. The boy fell to the ground, coughing desperately, with fear in his eyes. I broke free from Su Wanxin's restraints, rushed up and kicked the boy in the neck. "You are incompetent. Why are you pretending to be so arrogant?" He is used to being slapped in the face by my mouth. He just glanced at the onlookers and then hid in a low voice. "I just can't stand them laughing at you." I pointed at the teaching building and got out of the way and went to class. The high school entrance examination was over. Su Wanxin and I were both admitted to the key high school in the city. The difference was that I was the first in the city and Su Wanxin ranked 329th. I was able to successfully enter the key high school thanks to the 30,000 yuan scholarship sent by the Municipal Education Bureau. That day, I saw on my parents' faces for the first time. They only smiled at Su Wanxin. I knew they were smiling for the 30,000 yuan and for being proud of themselves in the village, but not for being proud of their daughter. So in the 3 years of high school, I studied harder and it was almost to the point of madness. Every winter and summer vacation were the most difficult days for me. Not only did I have to go to the beach to help, but I also had to do housework. However, Su Wanxin exempted me from all the hard labor in the 3 years of high school with just one sentence. My classmates all had extra classes, and my sister was the top student in the grade. I asked her to give me extra classes during the holidays, and I could save the extra class fees. My parents were very happy to hear this, and they kept praising her for growing up and becoming sensible, knowing that it was not easy for parents to make money. Only I knew that he actually wanted me to have more time to study, and I also understood and was grateful. Since I entered high school, I hardly ever beat him again, so we usually studied separately at home. Only when he encountered a problem he didn't understand, would he come up to me cautiously and ask me, and I would try my best to control my emotions. Only when he didn't understand the first time I explained, would I beat him. The 3-year high school career ended, and I ushered in a turning point in my life. I did not perform well in the college entrance examination and only scored 647 points. Su Wanxin performed even worse and only scored 490 points, which was 50 points less than the usual mock exams. She decided to repeat a year, and I was required to report to the manufacturing plant. Just because this time, the city's education bureau did not go to the village to give money with fanfare. No matter how well you study, you will get married in the future. What's the use of studying more? If you say, "I want to make money early and enjoy life early," then what's the use of graduating from college? You won't get married. You are an adult. You can't do everything according to your temper. The family also needs you to take responsibility. Faced with the gossip of various aunts and uncles, my mother even started packing my luggage, intending to arrange me into the workers' dormitory of the manufacturing plant. At this time, I had already received the admission letter from Beiliao University. Watching my parents' heated discussion about the distribution of my future monthly salary, I made my decision. I would not go to work, I would go to school. Naturally, what I got in return for this sentence was, they were beaten severely. The two people were very angry with me. They took turns beating me, fearing that I would recover. I pulled out a thick wire from the corner and put it against my neck. They said, "Either I die now, you have raised me for more than 10 years in vain, or let me go to college and earn money after graduation." They both stopped talking and looked at me angrily. "The family has no money now. Your mother and I have to save our wages to let an ex-Ian go to college. If you want to go to school, you have to find the tuition and living expenses yourself. Do you know how many connections I used to get you into the manufacturing plant? I am your mother. How can I harm you?" I didn't want to waste time talking to them. They asked me to die or to go to school. Finally, under my threat of death, the two of them chose to compromise, but they were determined not to pay for the living expenses and tuition. They have raised you for more than 10 years, and now it's time for you to repay your parents' kindness. There is no money at home. If you want to go to college, you have to find a way to earn it yourself. The unscrupulous father threw down such a cold word, got up and left the room. My mother hated me. She glared at me hatefully and followed me out. I rubbed my swollen arm, picked up a piece of toilet paper, casually wiped the blood on my neck, picked up the phone, and dialed the number of the admissions office on the admission letter. When the call was connected, there was a female teacher on the other end. I briefly told her about my situation. She gently comforted me and said, "Classmate, don't have any concerns. Come to the school to register first, and the school will find a way for you to do the rest." Her words were like a glass of water handed to a person who was about to die of thirst, which made me happy. Before hanging up the phone, she specifically told the girl not to give up hope. Hearing this, I clenched my teeth to hold back my tears. I got it. Thank you, teacher. During the month waiting for school to start, I went to the food processing factory in the town to work as a factory girl. The food processing factory would recruit short-term students during the holidays. The workers' wages were not as high as those of formal workers, but for me, this month's salary was not a huge sum. After working for a full month, after receiving my salary, I went home to pack my luggage. I found that my luggage was pitifully small. A bed, 2 pairs of shoes, 3 sets of clothes, and personal toiletries were all my belongings. When I was about to leave, my parents blocked the door again. I went to ask, "You earned more than 2,000 this month. Why do you, a girl, need so much money to go out?" The family just happened to need to buy concentrated feed for the cows. "You should take out 1,500 yuan. My father, holding a cigarette in his hand, said to me as a matter of course. I clenched the backpack in my hand. It is impossible that is my future living expenses. My mother came up and snatched my backpack, saying, "No, you can't take so much money out. We are worried." As the two of us were struggling, Suanshin ran in and said, "Dad, our cow ran away." Hearing that the cow had run away, the two of them could no longer take care of me and hurried out to chase the cow. "Sister, let's go." He grabbed my hand, took me out of the house, went into the alley next to us, and ran towards the village entrance after turning around. "It was you who let the cow run away, right? Go back, how are you going to explain?" A cunning flashed in his eyes. I said I forgot to close the gate, and they wouldn't blame me. When we arrived at the village entrance, he took out a wad of money from his pocket and stuffed it into my pocket. The largest one was a 100 yuan note, and the smallest was a 1 yuan note. They were all crumpled together about 300 or 400 yuan. "I haven't spent money recklessly recently and have secretly saved some. You can keep it for living expenses." Looking at his familiar face and the money he handed over, I could no longer associate him with the cold, selfish bastard in my previous life. I stretched out my hand to him, and he reflexively thought that I was going to hit him again, so he shrank his neck and hid behind me. I hugged his neck and pulled him into my arms, saying, "Sister is leaving, you study hard." He was shocked, hugged me and called me sister, and started crying softly. What the hell was he crying for? I wiped his tears with my hand, and rubbed his big snot on his clothes, picked up my luggage and turned around and left without looking back. Behind me, I heard him calling me sister. "Be careful on the road." I turned my back to him and waved casually. I didn't dare to look back because I was afraid that he would see my surging tears. After sitting on the train for a day and a night, I finally arrived at the terminal. When I got off the train, I smelled the dry and hot smell in the air, which was much more comfortable than the fresh and humid air at the seaside. I was finally free, and finally escaped from the home that made me suffer for 2 lifetimes. The luggage bag beside me was suddenly picked up by someone. I was startled, thinking someone was stealing my bag. "Girl, let me carry it for you," said a middle-aged man about 40 years old, with a face full of flesh and a hideous tattoo on his arm in short sleeves. No. I hurried to get my bag, but he changed his hand and wouldn't let me touch it. "Let me carry it for you. Are you here to go to school?" Well, I was careful to be wary of this stranger along the way, for fear that he would run away with the luggage bag. Although there were only clothes and bedding in the bag, it would be very troublesome for me if it was robbed. When I reached the exit, he put it at my feet and grinned at me, saying, "Okay, let's go. Be careful when you go out." That smile was really not pretty, but I felt that it was the most reassuring smile I had ever seen in my life. He waved his hand and blended into the crowd. I didn't come to my senses until he disappeared in the crowd. I bowed gratefully in his direction and thanked him. After changing 2 buses, I finally stood at the gate of Beiliao University. Several boys passing by knew that I was a freshman, and they enthusiastically helped me carry my things and took me to the freshman registration office. I met Teacher Yang, who was talking to me. Teacher Yang learned about my situation and said that he would apply for a student loan for me. He also enthusiastically contacted the logistics department and arranged for me to work part-time in the cafeteria. It seemed that everything had gone smoothly since entering the campus. The school dormitory was a double room, and the girl who lived with me was from the next room. Her name was Xie Xingnan, a typical Northeast girl, very enthusiastic and very familiar. After turning off the lights, she smiled and got into my bed. We started the night chat mode, and after just 1 night of heated chatting, she knew everything about my family's financial situation. "You weren't picked up by your parents, were you? Even if you were, they couldn't treat you like this." He was shocked by the almost pathological preference for boys over girls in my family, and I was equally shocked that he was the apple of the family's eye. My job in the cafeteria was relatively easy. I only had to get up an hour earlier every day to help out in the cafeteria, and help get food at the window at noon and in the evening. Not only did I get a salary every month, but the cafeteria also provided me with 3 meals a day for free. The 3 meals a day alone saved my daily expenses greatly. Several aunts in the cafeteria heard about my situation from Teacher Yang, and were very angry about what I had experienced since childhood. How could there be such parents? They were simply not worthy of being parents. So the aunts began to guard against me strictly, and did not allow me to do any heavier work. The chef would occasionally secretly cook for me. This kind of warmth is something I have never felt at home, and no one else because I work in the cafeteria. People despise me. Even my classmates were envied by everyone because they got more food than usual. Other students would ask for more, but my classmates would just say enough, enough, and couldn't finish it. Boys often licked their stomachs and burped, cursing as they walked. Su Anning wanted to kill him, which was quite arrogant and Versailles. I became the apple of everyone's eye because of my job at the cafeteria window. The unique enthusiasm of Northeastern people infected me, and I quickly integrated into the group. No one here favors boys over girls. In their perception, it is normal for women to be half the talent. Daughters also have inheritance rights. In the family, the status of daughters is even higher than that of boys. Physical work such as moving things and lifting heavy objects has always been the work of boys. There were several times when I saw them struggling to move and wanted to go forward to lend a hand, but they would push me back rudely. It's a man's job. Why are you, a woman, meddling in it? Just stay away. These words sounded very impatient, but they made me feel a different kind of warmth. In November, the temperature dropped sharply. It seemed that autumn had only briefly shown its head, and was then suppressed by winter. The weather turned cold, and I planned to ask Xingnan to accompany me to the nearby market to buy a down jacket. As a result, when he came back from home on the weekend, he threw a big package into my arms as soon as he entered the door. I opened the package, and inside were 2 thin cotton trousers and a down jacket. The cotton trousers were bought for me by my mother last year. They were a little small and I didn't have time to change them. The down jacket was bought for me by my father. I hate the color purple the most. Takes up space at home. Please help me digest it. You'll treat me in the cafeteria tonight. It was decided happily like this. He and I have a similar body shape, and the cotton trousers fit him very well. He doesn't like the color purple, but he just picked such a lame excuse to give the clothes to me in order not to burden me. I looked at the clothes in my arms and wanted to say thank you, but tears could not be controlled and flowed down. Oh, I am so annoying to you. Do you really need to buy these few clothes? He hated to see me cry the most, so he quickly hugged me to smooth things over. He was so stingy and said, I won't let you treat me anymore. I'll treat you to spicy hot pot in the evening. Oh, don't cry. The new year is coming soon. I have the first winter vacation in my college life. My classmates began to leave school one after another. I did not go home because I was afraid that once I went home, I would lose the opportunity to return to campus. And my parents did not call me. For them, as long as I did not ask them for money, they did not care how my daughter was doing. Only Su Anxin would occasionally call me secretly, and she would only report on her learning progress. Usually, she would hang up the phone after a few words. Fortunately, the dormitory was open during the holidays, so I could continue to live in the school. As the spring festival was approaching, I bought 2 bags of frozen dumplings and threw them in the freezer of the cafeteria, planning to go to school during the new year. At night, I sneaked into the cafeteria to cook dumplings. Just when I was looking forward to the dumplings on New Year's Eve, the dormitory door was pushed open, and Xingnan walked in. Without saying a word, he grabbed his down jacket and put it on me. Let's go. My mom asked you to go home with me for the new year. I refused again and again, but he dragged me into a taxi. Then I saw a scene that I will never forget at his house. In the kitchen, Xingnan's father was wearing a pink apron and was busy cooking. When he saw me, he poked his head out of the kitchen, greeted me with a smile and went back into the kitchen. This was something I could never have imagined. In my home, my dad and Su Anxin never touch any housework. All the housework and farm work are done by my mom and me. Sometimes my mom goes to work in the factory, and these jobs naturally fall on me. My aunt pulled me to sit on the sofa in the living room. How could this girl be so thin? How could her parents be so cruel? This kind of heartache and care from the heart can't help but my nose was sore. Auntie took my hand and brought me here, just like coming home. Tell me what you want to eat and let your uncle cook it for you. I whispered if I needed to go to the kitchen to help my uncle. Auntie waved her hand and said, What help? If a grown man needs help even in cooking, what use is he to me? At the dinner table on New Year's Eve, my uncle took out a bottle of wine and some cloth. Auntie picked up a big bone with sauce and put it in my bowl. I learned from your sister and grabbed it with my hand and gnawed on it. In my hand, I grabbed a piece of sauce that was almost as big as his palm. My mouth was full of oil from gnawing on the bone. Uncle poured me a glass of wine and said with a smile, Try my cooking. I just don't know if you can get used to it. My parents who love me and my sister who likes me. Such a scene has never appeared in my dreams before, but now it is really presented in front of me. After 2 lifetimes, for the first time in my life, I felt the warmth of home in the Northeast, thousands of miles away from my hometown. For them, restraint is the most important thing, and cautiousness are the greatest harm to this kindness, so I also began to learn from Xingnan, grabbing that big bone and gnawing on it. Another year of college entrance examination came. This time Su Anxin did very well, more than 30 points above the first-tier line. When filling out the application form, he called me and asked for my opinion. Sister, what do you think I should apply for my first choice? What do my parents say? They asked me to apply for a university near home, saying that it would be convenient for me to go home. My father said that raising a son is a precaution for old age, and he didn't want me to go too far. I remembered the uncle who helped me carry the bag at the station, the aunts in the cafeteria, Xiangnan's parents, my teachers and classmates, to make Su Anxin completely reborn. I can't rely on my slaps and sweet dates alone. I need to use a big environment to change the bad habits in his heart. Anxin, if you really believe in me, fill in the National University of Defense Technology as your application form. A man should go out and try his luck, and not be bound by that small village all his life. Good sister, I listened to you. The next day after I filled in the application, I received a call from home for the first time. It was my mother. She cried and scolded me on the phone, saying that you are an ungrateful person. You didn't even come back to be filial to your parents during the Chinese New Year, and you just had fun outside. This time, you even encouraged your brother to apply for a university in the Northeast. What are you thinking? It seems that Su Anxin really listened to me and applied for the National University of Defense Technology. Listening to the dirty words coming from his own mother on the phone, I asked his mother lightly, "Why did you let Su Anxin go to college?" Of course, it was to give face to our Su family and bring honor to our ancestors. Then, am I harming him by suggesting that he apply for a university in the north? He applied for such a faraway place. What will happen to your father and me in the future? Who will take care of us when we are old? So Su Anxin is just a guarantee for your and my father's retirement. His future is not your priority, right? Bullshit, can I harm my own son? Stop trying to sow discord here. I am doing this based on his S grades, and give the most reasonable suggestions. If you are not satisfied, you can let him repeat 1 year. When filling out the application tomorrow, let him apply for that third-rate fake university in the city. After that, I hung up the phone without giving him a chance to speak again. 2 months later, Su Anxin came to the National University of Defense Technology to register. I went to the station to pick him up and took him to the freshman reception desk in front of the station. He was taller and stronger. When he saw me, he handed me the package in his hand. My mother was so tired that she packed so many things for me. I almost couldn't carry them. I still took the package he handed over as before. The two of them didn't come with you. The sea was about to be closed and there was a lot of work at home, so I didn't let them come with me. While we were talking, several male classmates from the freshman reception desk came over. One of the boys naturally took the package from me. Su Anxin looked at the boy in confusion, but I just smiled and said habitually, "Thank you, classmate. Are you a freshman here to register?" He is not the new student. I am his sister. The boy who took the package directly stuffed the package into Su Anxin's hand. It's quite big. It's hard to ask your sister to carry the bag for you. You don't have hands. I smiled to smooth things over. It's like this in our family. It's okay. Several boys looked at Su Anxin with obvious disgust. What kind of place is this? They still play the game of favoring boys over girls. It's just a big bag, and they let their sister carry the bag for them. If I dare to let my sister do the work at home, my father will kill me. Although it was a low murmur, Su Anxin heard it clearly. His face turned red and white. I smiled and patted his shoulder. The custom here is, that's right, you'll get used to it. Looking at several senior students in the upper grades, he nodded blankly. The education I gave him since childhood allowed Su Anxin to quickly adapt to the surrounding environment and get along well with new classmates. He was surprised at the status of local women. This was a social environment he had not been exposed to in the past 20 years. He called his parents and said that he could work to earn tuition and living expenses and try not to ask for money from home. The two people who received the call from their son were moved to tears and kept praising Su Anxin for growing up and being sensible. Thinking back to when I walked out of the house with my luggage, they squeezed the few living expenses in my pocket. Seeing the scene, I couldn't help but feel a chill running through my bones. If my son worked and studied, it was independent and sensible. If my daughter worked and studied, it was justified. Even if I didn't contribute to the family expenses with my own earnings, it was a great rebellion. During the long vacation, Su Anxin used the excuse that the round-trip fare was too expensive, called his parents and told them that he would not go home, and then turned around and ran to the school to find me. I saw him at the school gate and clearly felt that he had become a different person. I couldn't tell exactly what was different. Until we were shopping, he naturally reached out his hand to me and took the bag I was carrying. He was almost a head taller than me, and I stretched out my arms with difficulty. I patted him on the head, thinking he behaved well. He chuckled, thinking that a younger brother should serve his sister. I chuckled. Su Anxin had really changed. At this moment, I realized that I hadn't hit him for a long time, so I put my hand under his ribs and twisted them hard. A pig-killing howl came from the pedestrian street. In a blink of an eye, I was a junior. I was still calmly holding the scholarship issued every year, immersing myself in the world of female academic bullies and the beauties who served meals. I couldn't extricate myself. Su Anxin would occasionally come to me when he was on vacation and not working, to report his situation to me and let me kill him by the way. That day, I was reading in the dormitory when the door was suddenly pushed open. I saw the two people I least wanted to see in my life. "Why are you here?" My dad was in a bad mood as always. "I am your father. Why can't I come?" My mom was angry and said that you haven't been home for several years. "I think you don't want me and your father anymore." Xiangnan knew the situation of my family and politely stepped forward to say hello to uncle and aunt. His enthusiasm was met with a harsh sentence from my dad. "Go out, our family has something to talk about." Xiangnan thought he had heard it wrong. "Uncle, what did you say?" My dad glanced at him impatiently and said, I asked you to go out. Don't you understand what I say? I immediately felt something was wrong. Sure enough, Shengnan's face changed drastically the next second, and she started to scold my dad. Who the hell are you? Why do you order me? My dad has never talked to me like this. If you can talk, just talk. If you can't talk, just shut up. How did you get in? This is the girls' dormitory, you should be the one to go out. My dad probably has never seen a woman dare to talk to him like this. He was stunned for a moment. Shengnan's loud voice almost blew the roof off the room, attracting the girls from other dormitories and Aunt Wang, the dormitory manager, whose girl is so unruly and interrupts when adults are talking. How did your parents educate you? I won't say anything. My mom really couldn't see the situation clearly. She was still being sarcastic at this time, not thinking that keeping silent was the best policy at the moment. I softly comforted Shengnan while enduring my dad's abuse. My mom came over and grabbed me, asking me to go with her to complete the withdrawal procedures and go home to get married. Everyone present, including me, agreed to get married. My mom quickly explained that she had found a good family for you. The son of your Uncle Wang liked you and gave our family a betrothal gift of 150,000 yuan. He also promised that if you could give birth to a big fat boy within a year, he would get married with you and give you another 100,000 yuan as a reward. You should pack up quickly. Pack up and go home with us. Uncle Wang is the fish tyrant in the village. His son has been idle since he was a child, uneducated, looks like a thin stick swaying in the wind, and always speaks in a sissy way. I feel sick when I think of him. I shook his hand away and said, whoever wants to marry can marry. I'm not going back. I want to go to school. My father slapped me hard and said, this is outrageous. When will it be your turn to call the shots in our family? I felt dizzy and hot liquid flowed out of my nose. I'm a bastard. So what are you two? Shennan pulled me behind her and Aunt Wang stood in front of me. How dare you be someone else's boss? Mom and Dad, I'm telling you three to leave. If you don't, I'll call the security guard. Aunt Wang's tough attitude made my dad feel that his authority was challenged. He pushed her hard and pushed Aunt Wang to the ground. You stinky bitch. Why are you, an outsider, meddling in our family's affairs? Shengnan and I hurried to help him. I apologized repeatedly, but he pulled me over and protected me behind him. I'm here with you. Don't even think about taking the child away today. If you make trouble again, I'll call the security guard. My mother glared at him and said, what's wrong with making trouble? She's my daughter. She has to do whatever I tell her to do. Who are you? Why are you meddling in other people's business? Aunt Wang, my aunt, took out her phone to call the security department, and my dad went forward to grab the phone. During the argument, my dad punched Aunt Wang. Aunt Wang roared, you dare to hit me, I will fight you. The next second, Aunt Wang knocked my dad out like a cannonball. My mom wanted to go up to help, but was surrounded by the leftover men and girls from other dormitories. Aunt Wang rushed over and scratched my dad's face, cursing Wang Zhidong while scratching, you scumbag. I told you not to hit a woman. My dad was scratched and his face was disfigured. My mom was surrounded by classmates until the police came and rescued them. In the police station, my dad was scratched. His face was covered with shredded potatoes, but he was still tough. He slammed the table and yelled at the police in front of him. I want to take my own daughter away. Why are you stopping me? My mother also joined in. How can women in your place hit men? You really need men to discipline you. The young policeman looked at my father calmly and said slowly, this is the police station. You are slamming the table. Who are you talking to? After that, he rolled his eyes at my mother. Why do women deserve to be beaten by men? My father pointed at the wounds on his face. Then all the beatings I received were in vain. He turned the gun towards me and said, if it weren't for you, how could I be brought to this place now? Fong Lai, I stared at him calmly, forcing me to go back and get married and making a scene at school. All these things are my fault. My dad raised his hand to hit me, you loser, and dare to talk back. I was prepared to let him stay in jail for 2 days, so I didn't plan to hide at all. The slap didn't fall after all. His wrist was grabbed by Su Anshin from behind. Dad, you're gonna make a big deal out of this, leaving a criminal record, affecting my future job hunting and political review. What should I do? My dad glanced at him, put down his hand angrily, his own precious son. He had no choice and pointed the spearhead at me again. Su and Ning, you must go back with me today. I won't go back. Let me go back, go get married. Then I would rather die, you unlucky star. I have already received the deposit. If you dare not go back, I will beat you to death. My mother frowned and said, you are rebellious. Who taught you to talk to your parents like this? Believe it or not, I will tie you back, I will say it for the last time. If you dare to tie me back, I will dare to get married, and I will be a widow on the day, and none of us will have an easy life. The police who handled the case ate melons for a long time and finally understood what was going on. And parents like you, it seems that your daughter is not your own child. My mother is justified. A married girl is like spilled water. Of course my daughter will not be my child in the future. This kind of words, the two policemen were beaten. Directly. I was speechless. Looking at my dad, my mom didn't know what to say for a long time. Seeing that my dad came to pull me again, Su Anshin pushed me hard and said, Su and Ning, don't think that just because you are my sister, I dare not hit you. Since you are so opinionated and capable, don't ever enter the Su family's door in the future. I tell you, when I am capable in the future, Even if you have to beg at my doorstep, I will not pity you." He looked at me coldly. "You ungrateful wolf. Just think that my dad and mom have raised you for so many years in vain. From now on, our Su family has nothing to do with you. Get out of here." My mom secretly pulled him from behind, but he raised his hand to push her away. "Mom, this why keep such an ungrateful person around? Is he waiting to send our whole family to jail?" I turned around and left without looking back. I heard Su Anshin arguing with her parents behind me. "Why did you let him go? I have already agreed on a 250,000 yuan betrothal gift with the Wang family. I don't want the ungrateful person's money. I can earn my own money in the future." Finally, my dad compensated the dormitory aunt and apologized. Only then did he gain the understanding of the school and the dormitory aunt, and there was no criminal record. With the help of Su Anshin, I finally escaped from this home successfully. After my parents returned to their hometown, Su Anshin came to find me. She forcefully stuffed a wad of money into my pocket. "Sister, why are you so proud of my salary this month? Just buy it yourself and don't always think about saving money." I couldn't win over him and he held my hands firmly. "You gave me all the money, what are you going to do this month?" Mom was afraid that I would be hungry, so she gave me living expenses before leaving. "You don't have to worry about me." After saying that, his voice became smaller. "Sister, I'm sorry. What is there to be sorry for? If it weren't for you, I'm afraid I would have been married to that bamboo pole guy now." I grabbed his collar, asked him to bend down and touched his head. "It's good to have a brother like you in this life." In fact, I also think it's good to have a brother like me." "Why are you so proud now? So what can I do? Isn't this just learning from someone? My college life is over." After graduation, I passed the school recruitment exam and stayed to work in the admissions office. After graduation, Su Anshin successfully entered a military-industrial enterprise. The next year, I married my college girlfriend and had a baby. My sister-in-law is a local, the only daughter in the family, and the apple of her parents' eyes. Before their wedding, in order to prevent my parents from contacting me at the wedding, the couple found me to have a meal together, so that as a sister, I could witness his love destination. I bought a small gold lock and gave it to my belly. The little thing in the cradle, when the first snow fell at the end of the year, my niece was born safely. Knowing that my sister-in-law was about to give birth, my parents rushed over a month in advance. As a result, when they were nurses outside the delivery room, holding the child and saying that the child was a daughter, my parents fell out on the spot and cursed my sister-in-law who had not yet come out of the operating room. "Waste, how could my son fall in love with a useless thing like you? The first child was a girl." My mother looked at the little life in the cradle with disgust. She had no awareness of being a grandmother at all. She really brought shame to my Su family. Such a daughter-in-law, I won't let her in even if she compensates me. She has been a woman all her life and has been scolded by her parents-in-law, but in the end she has become the same person as my grandmother. The two of them don't even want to look at the child anymore, and they only care about cursing at my brother-in-law's family. Su Anshin tried her best to appease the two of them, but instead asked Su Anshin to go to the court immediately to go through the divorce procedures. My mother ignored the eyes of the people around her and dragged Su Anshin away. "There are plenty of women, but she is incompetent and can't give birth to a son. Mom will find you a daughter-in-law who can give me a grandson." More and more people are watching the fun. There were many people watching, but no one stepped forward to stop the fight. Everyone thought that the two of them deserved it. Su Anshin wanted to stop the fight, but I grabbed his wrist tightly and slapped him in the face. This was the first time I had ever seen such a slap in the face since high school. I hit him once, and it was the first time in my life that I used such great force. "Su Anshin, can't you see that if you step forward to stop them today, your marriage will be over? But they are our parents and you will have to pay the price for being rude. You are a father, you will understand this. You can choose between your parents and your own wife and daughter." Su Anshin hesitated, and finally followed me back to the ward with the child in his arms. In the single ward, there were two clear-cut factions. My father and mother stood at the door. My father's arm was already fixed. Splint, my mother was disheveled and her clothes were torn. My sister-in-law and her family stood in the ward, staring at the two men covetously. "Su Anshin, this is the daughter-in-law you found. Not only did she give birth to a money-losing girl, she also beat your parents. You just stare at your sister-in-law who is always kind." My father had a gloomy face. "If you dare to say that my granddaughter is a money-losing girl again, I will kill you now. If you don't believe me, just try." My father moved his lips, but he didn't say anything after all. "Son, say something. Are you just gonna watch me and your father being bullied by others like this?" Su Anshin was silent for a long time and finally stepped forward. "You should go back to your hometown." "What do you mean? You would rather have that company, a daughter, than your own parents. You have read so much that you have become a fool." My mother slapped her thigh, sat on the ground and started to throw a tantrum. "I have done something wrong. What? I gave birth to a son. He is so ungrateful. He has forgotten his mother after getting a wife. Why is my life so miserable? That's enough." Su Anshin's roar shut the two of them up and stared at him in a daze. "You have never treated my sister as your own family since she was a child. Now you are here to destroy my family. Do you want me to become like you? What's wrong with my daughter? My sister is also your daughter. She is so outstanding. But have you ever looked at her straight in the eye? I tell you, I don't want a second child in this life, so just give up the idea of having a grandchild. When can you think clearly, and when can you come to see the child? I can't afford to lose face with you. The two people looked at each other in astonishment. Su Wanxin didn't seem to expect that his most beloved son would openly turn against him one day. In the end, the two returned to their hometown in disgrace. Su Wanxin's performance was recognized by his sister-in-law's family. His sister-in-law did not blame him, but instead I believed even more that I had found a good man. When my niece was 3 years old, my parents had some minor health problems. Su Wanxin discussed with me and planned to let the old couple sell the family's fishing boat and house and come to the city where we both lived to settle down. In the past 3 years, my father and mother have not even visited the child once, which completely hurt Su Wanxin. Sister, I finally understand how difficult your life was back then. Blood is thicker than water. Just because you are a girl, they really don't even want to look at you. This is the first time Su Wanxin cried and complained to me about her parents. Our mother is also a woman. Grandma always scolded her when she was a child. How come she has become like grandma now? He didn't understand how this deep-rooted idea could make a woman so sick. My parents sold the house in their hometown and moved here. I found a quieter community near the suburbs and settled the two of them. Su Wanxin was angry and refused to meet them. She didn't even tell them the address after moving to the new home. She just paid living expenses for the two people on a monthly basis. As the Chinese New Year was approaching, I bought some New Year's goods to go see them. As expected, as soon as I stepped into the house, I was greeted by two. I am here to insult you personally. What are you doing here? You have sowed discord between me and my good son. Not only does he not come to see us, you also don't let us hug our grandchildren. I should have listened to your grandmother and thrown you into the sea, and you watched your brother jump into the fire pit. This family was completely ruined by you, and now you are satisfied? After my father's arm was broken last time, he did not recover well and has been left with a root of disease. He can no longer lift his arm, and even lifting heavy objects is very strenuous. He has lost the strength to hit me, and I am no longer the little girl who was beaten by him in the past. He and my mother are now only they can insult me with vicious words. I went straight into the house, put the things on the table, turned around and looked at the two of them with a smile. I give you living expenses every month no matter what you eat or drink. I even buy things to see you. How come I have become an ungrateful person? I look at my mother. Since I was born, Grandma has been making things difficult for you. Don't you hate her? Look at you now, you are just as hateful as he was back then. What's wrong with a girl? Giving birth to a girl is a heinous crime. Who in this world is not born by a woman? Have you ever held me in your arms? Do you feel sorry for me? Have you ever loved me? Have you ever thought about my future happiness? Have you ever treated me as a family member? If I could choose my own birth, do you think I would choose parents like you? I overturned the table, and the fruits and cooked food I bought rolled all over the floor. You are all old now, and I advise you two to be honest, otherwise, I am afraid that even I will never step into this house again, just like your son Su Wanxin. After that big quarrel, the two of them were obviously much more well-behaved. The quarrel that broke out alarmed the neighbors, and other residents in the community also knew what kind of people the newly moved in old couple were. No one in the entire community paid attention to them anymore, and no one greeted them when they met. The two were completely isolated by the people in the community. Occasionally, I would buy some things to see them. Sometimes, I saw the two of them sitting on a bench in the community square, looking at a few elderly people with children not far away, with loneliness on their faces. They were much more polite to me, and would also ask about the recent situation of Su Wanxin and me. I gave a formulaic answer, unwilling to reveal a trace of family affection, even if it was what they longed for. Yes, Su Wanxin would call me sometimes to ask about my parents' situation. I would tell him truthfully that his parents were doing well and asked him not to worry about them. Su Wanxin on the other end of the phone just sighed and said, "Who the hell invented this idea of favoring boys over girls? If you hadn't beaten me since I was a child, I would probably be the same as my parents now." I thought of the selfish, cold-hearted Su Wanxin in my previous life, but found that I could no longer remember what he looked like. "Are you free on the weekend? Send Xiaoshuo to stay with me for 2 days." "Okay." She said she missed her aunt the other day and insisted on going to school. "The school is looking for you." In August, when the school started, I received a call from a student. She cried and told me about her family situation, which was exactly the same as mine back then. It seemed as if I saw myself back then. I gently comforted her, saying, "Classmate, don't have any worries. Come to the school first and report. The school will find a way for you to do the rest." Her tone was excited, as if she had grabbed a life-saving straw. "Really, teacher?" After getting my affirmative answer, she cried and thanked me on the other end of the phone. Before hanging up the phone, I softly encouraged her, "Girl, don't give up hope. The whole text is over."